It's kicking off in Birmingham tonight.
Every match that the barbaric Israeli establishment or their teams are at, we will be at. Takbir! Takbir!
Just some good, dyed-in-the-wool Aston Villa football fans there chanting the name of their favourite striker, Alan Akbar. Aston Villa played Maccabi Tel Aviv.
From the river to the sea! From the river to the sea! Genocide in England!
Baby killers. You are a dirty Zionist, genocidal baby killer. That's what you do. Baby killer. You kill babies. You kill babies. End of story. You kill babies.
I thought death to the IDF might be the kind of thing that you could get nicked for now, but anyway, you'll remember that Tel Aviv fans were banned from going after pressure from Gaza gang MPs.
Many residents have raised concerns about the football match which is due to take place on the 6th of November. Maccabi Tel Aviv. We've all seen those harrowing images from Amsterdam. I've started a petition to boycott Maccabi Tel Aviv. There is no space for violence or any thugs to come into Aston or indeed Birmingham. That is why I urge everyone to sign up to this petition. Boycott Maccabi Tel Aviv.
I don't know about you, but most of the horrific footage I saw from that Amsterdam incident he's talking about involved basically there being a Jew hunt with Maccabi fans having their heads kicked in, but maybe we just saw different things. The PM said that the decision to ban them was a mistake. It makes it look like Jews aren't welcome in Birmingham, an area with a huge Muslim population. Now, one of the vocal people behind the ban is comedy lawyer and wannabe MP Ahmed Yaqub.
At the Villa ground, we've had meetings with a few locals and in particular youths, and they will be here joining the protest which will be taking place at the Aston Pavilion, Trinity Road, Villa ground, 6 p.m. on the 6th of November.
Here he is giving some expert legal advice.
Back in your car, but you can't demonstrate that you have a sporting event. You can get into trouble with the police and the prosecution and see yourself in court for possession of an offensive weapon. So if you do have a baseball bat, for example, for a sporting event, then make sure it is clear and you have other equipment with it as well. Otherwise, it will be difficult for you to show that you have a reasonable excuse to have this bat. Always remember, there's a defense for every offense.
You see, that's his tagline. There's a defence for every offence. But it's stupid, isn't it? Because it needs to be there's a defence for every alleged offence. Otherwise, he's just admitting that all of his clients are already criminals. But whatever. It's important to remember this is a very non-threatening evening, OK? The balaclava-wearing, peace-loving, pro-Gaza fans are a really sweet bunch of lads, which is why they did this video beaming my face onto the side of Villa Park yesterday.
Maccabi Tel Aviv.
Maccabi Tel Aviv.
Maccabi Tel Aviv.
Maccabi Tel Aviv.
Maccabi Tel Aviv
Will now no longer sell tickets to the Europa League match at Aston Villa over safety concerns. The initial decision from the authorities in Birmingham had been to deny Israeli fans the right to attend the match.
Well, thanks for the free advertising, lads. Palestine protesters even tried to get the match totally cancelled by obstructing the Maccabi Tel Aviv players from getting to the ground. Volunteers from the local Palestine Action Group, I think it is, or Palestine Solidarity Campaign, were sent out to try to find the players, essentially being accused of organising a Jew hunt. That's what it is. Seriously, being told, look for them in hotel lobbies, all of this stuff. How grim is that? The Palestine mob say that they're all Aston Villa fans. Well, this is what happened when actual Aston Villa fans turned up. I don't think they like them very much. Yeah, It's almost like those people with the Palestine flags aren't real Villa fans. No, but now, I just want to say, OK, it's pretty clear who the real hooligans are. It's this lot. Do you think they'd be happier if they just got a girlfriend or something? Campaigners against anti-Semitism hit back with these mobile vans. Well, the area outside Villa Park is so hostile that Tel Aviv players had to be smuggled into the stadium in a completely unmarked, unbranded bus. Now, remember, this isn't about Jews. Oh, no. This is about what violent thugs the Maccabi Tel Aviv fans are. Bit strange, that, though, isn't it? Because I think this was last night, actually. Turkish side Galatasaray played against Ajax in Amsterdam, and, well, here's what happened. Local media is reporting that Galatasaray fans were armed with knives and that multiple arrests were made. Now, Galatasaray are actually coming to England, I believe, to play Manchester City at some point soon, I think. I wonder if the Gaza gang will be saying that they should be banned. No, they won't, of course, because those fans aren't Jewish.
Hello, I'm Bev Turner. Now, it can feel like the money in our bank accounts at the moment does not keep up with the cost of living, and maybe there's a solution. I'm here today with the CEO of TallyMoney, Cameron Parry. Cameron, what is TallyMoney?
Well, Bev, with TallyMoney, you get a current account and a debit card, but instead of pounds, you use milligrams of gold as your everyday money.
So why gold?
Gold traditionally is a great store of value. It has, on average, gone up at over 11% per annum for the last 25 years against the pound. It's tripled in value in the last decade, and in the last 2 years alone, it's increased by 50% against the pound. Banks' savings products just can't compete with that level of growth.
But this isn't just about gold. This is about a currency that you guys have created at TallyMoney. Explain it to me as though I'm an idiot.
So, look, people need to be able to hold their earnings and build their savings in a money that retains its value and remains in their legal control and remains theirs to access, away from government control.
Great. You had me at not exposed to government control.
You should feel safe and happy with your money. You should have peace of mind. The more money you see in your bank balance, and that's the type of thing we're trying to deliver, and give people choice in the type of money they get to use every day.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Cameron. Thank you.
Well, we're going to go now to GB News' national reporter, Jack Carson, who's been outside Villa Park for us. Jack, thank you very much. There's obviously a very strong police presence where you are. What was the mood like earlier on? It looked pretty tasty from some of those clips.
Well, it was certainly tense. You know, any kind of reaction against the Palestine protests here caused an equally loud reaction. We saw at times before the game an interaction between Aston Villa fans, as you would have just played there, Patrick, the police and those Palestine fans. We saw one lady earlier stand in front of the Palestine protesters with an Israeli flag. Suddenly the crowd started to chant death to the IDF, and that lady was taken away by police, mainly for her own safety when she held up that Israel flag in front of them. And we also saw at half-time there was seemingly a firework thrown from the Palestine protest side into the Aston Villa stadium, where some fans had come out for a smoke at half-time. So seemingly it's been a very tense atmosphere all evening here, with it only taking one or two people or one or two incidents to really then start to cause more trouble for the police, which is why they've got such a heavy policing presence here. Just to the left of me, all the way down there, you might be able to see a line of police officers. They are currently surrounding the remaining Palestine protests. We've spoken to the people who organised the protest today. They said their protest ended hours ago, and these are just leftover people who are protesting for Palestine and against Maccabi Tel Aviv and against Israel being included in UEFA competitions. But it has demanded this huge response from not just the West Midlands Police, Patrick, 25 other forces tonight, West Midlands Police say, have been here supporting the West Midlands Police colleagues. They say to keep the local community safe around Birmingham and to make sure everyone, they say, gets the high level of service from them. But we know that they have arrested 6 people tonight. One is a man who was 21 for failing to comply with an order to remove a face mask. One is a 17-year-old boy for failing to comply with a dispersal order. 3 people arrested for racially aggravated public order offences, and 1 person for a breach of the peace. And of course we spoke to GB News presenter Josh Howie and others who were at the counter protest, and they have basically wanted to come here today because they very much made Birmingham feel like it was a no-go zone for. And you played a clip of Ahmed Yaqub here, who we spoke to earlier on as well. He said that this was about banning Israel from the UEFA competitions because he says Russia was dealt the same fate after their invasion of Ukraine. That is one of the reasons why they say they wanted to be here and protest today. But of course it is very different, Patrick, to what they said when the decision from the Safety Advisory Group came out. They said that they wanted to stop the fans coming because of that hooliganism. Different protest entirely. I put the point that you made, Patrick, about the Galatasaray fans and the violence that fans. I put that to Ahmed.
All right, OK. I'll tell you what, the connection's just going a little bit, Jack, so sorry, we'll go back to you now. I'm sorry for him there, because you did a tremendous job for us all night there outside Villa Park. So thank you very much, Jack Carlson. But I think we kind of got the gist of it, really. There are some other concerning details that are emerging in the last few moments, which is that before the game, there were some members of the British Jewish community and also just people who wanted to turn up and show solidarity with the Jewish community who attended. And they were put in what they have been described as a Jew pen around. So they basically fenced them in. They literally fenced the Jewish community in to a little pen, and around them were surrounded by the pro-Palestine. This is a terrible look, Ellie, for Britain, isn't it?
It's really quite sinister, isn't it? I'm actually appalled by these scenes. And by the way, the police have had a long time to prepare for this, so they knew what was coming, and yet, as you say, these pro-Palestine, in many cases, hooligans, chanting death to the IDF, and that is inciting harm, inciting violence. That should be clamped down on. And do you remember, Patrick, I think it was actually, I was sitting on your show, when it was announced that the Tel Aviv vans would be banned, and at the time, Starmer tweeted, live when we were live, that this is appalling and this is the wrong decision. And we said, we'll give him some time, you know, he might do something about this. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt. He didn't. He's done nothing, and look at what is happening now in Birmingham.
But that just really sums up what's going on with this current government. Something happens, Keir Starmer or David Lammy say, isn't this terrible? But they don't do anything. They usually forget they actually have power. They are in the government. Keir Starmer could have got involved, could have said to the police, you need to allow this to happen. They had 700 officers there from 25 different police forces. They had clearly the police manpower to actually deal with any rioting or any upsets there, but they still banned the Jewish supporters. I think it's a really damn
Well, in
message.
the end, that's not quite true, because in the end, the Maccabi Tel Aviv said they didn't want to take up their allocation of tickets, even if it was offered to them. It was pointless to move the match.
It's insulting what's happened to the Jewish fans.
The government didn't do anything in order to promise protection for these Jewish fans.
There are serious question marks over the police, though. So as Ellie was saying, you know, they've had ages to prepare for this. And what you were looking at there, I don't know if you could have told from some of that footage, but they are right outside the ground. Right outside the ground. You know what? There you go. So that's like the kind of the walkway. I think you can see the bits of the stadium there, can't you? Really?
Yeah.
Why on earth would you let them protest there? I mean, thankfully it didn't kick off. But the reason it didn't kick off is because a lot of other people showed a huge amount of restraint. And I just don't understand what the police are playing.
Why there wasn't a wider cordon around it? You would have thought that.
And I think if there's any other fans, if it's sort of, you know, far-right people protesting, the police would be a lot more robust. So I think the fact that they've allowed these protests to get so close to the stadium presents a security risk, but also shows the two-tier nature of what's going on.
Sorry, there's one, I think maybe one on the front row. It's just always just the lads, isn't it?
And it was so sad seeing that there was a photo of a woman who was just carrying an Israeli flag. She was escorted away from the seats by the police, and these guys are allowed to do...
But there's something in that, Ali, isn't there? There's something in that. There was this very small, kind of quite diminutive woman. I don't know how old she was. It's difficult to tell, but yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it turned out she was anything from like 17 to just maybe a slightly more petite lady. And she's there with an Israeli flag, basically on her own. And these lads, the lovely bunch of lads, they rock up, they're screaming at her, they're shouting at her, and she has to be taken away for her own protection. It's almost like some of the people that we see in that video on our screens right now don't really like women very much, not just the Jews.
Look, big basic question, what are they actually protesting against now? There's a ceasefire in Gaza. What are they actually protesting for? The fans were banned anyway, so why are these counter-protests still there? What are they aiming to achieve by being there tonight?
Go on, Matthew.
No, I mean, I agree with that. I mean, I think that, you know, there are clear questions for the police to answer. There were clearly questions, I mean, because in a sense, the Maccabi Tel Aviv saying they weren't going to come, which happened very soon after the government said it would do something. I think if they'd said they wanted to come, it would have been moved, because I think the government would have forced it through. But the government should have ensured, the West Midlands police should have ensured that there was a cordon around that, because frankly, never mind if you were a counter-protester. What if you're just an ordinary Villa fan going to that match? Why do you need that with your kids? Why do you need that?
Can we actually just zoom out a bit and recognise the fact that this is a massive problem for Britain?
Yes.
Right? So now it's that bit of Birmingham. But let's be honest with you, there are other parts of the country as well. There's parts of the outskirts of Manchester, places like Rochdale, there's places like Rotherham, there's places like Leicester, for example, there's huge parts of London. And there is a common denominator here, isn't there? Which is that there appears to be a very angry, very mobilised, very unified, very aggressive and very intimidating mob that come under the umbrella of the pro-Palestine brigade, but, you know, frankly, all too often are, you know, quite hardened members of the Muslim community.
Absolutely.
That is a problem, clearly. I'm saying it's a problem because does anyone watch that and think that that's a nice, normal, cohesive society?
Way, Patrick, you know, it was only a few weeks ago that there was a terrorist attack in a synagogue where Jewish men died because of this sort of narrative. Well, in that case, it obviously was ideological. I'm not suggesting that it is in this case totally there. But there is clearly a problem that we need to crack down on, and giving into it is not going to help unite the country.
What we see there is only going to increase, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think it's quite telling this a football match. Now, you know, since the 70s and 80s, where there were some absolute disasters for British policing around football matches, as well Hillsborough and other such instances, the British police have got sort of policing of football matches down to a T. They can deal with thugs, they can deal with protests. So what I don't want to know is why today couldn't they seem to deal with the protesters? Why they've had decades of having really good work, but today they're getting so close to stadium.
I think there's a question about Birmingham. I think there's a question about whether the political establishment in Birmingham is, is independent enough of to be able to deal with these issues, which I think was the issue about the committee that some people came in for some criticism that it may need to think again. And I think clearly Birmingham, never mind, but Britain, but particularly Birmingham, has not covered itself in glory tonight, because whatever your view is about the Israel-Palestine conflict, that is not an edifying spectacle for anybody, including members of the Muslim community.
I just want to say as well, there was a WhatsApp message that I know I brought up on the screen earlier on. You might have missed it because there was a lot going on, to be fair. But in that WhatsApp message, it is alleged that people were trying to organise so they could hunt out where the Maccabi Tel Aviv players were staying, that they could hunt out where any fans who might have wanted to go, British Maccabi fans who might have wanted to go, what hotels they were in, look in your hotel lobby and all of this.
I mean, presumably there were Israeli visitors in terms of the press as well. So, I mean, the idea that you're going to have to police every hotel in Birmingham is outrageous.
They'd identify them, not necessarily because they're all wearing football shirts, because it'd be a bit stupid, I would have thought, at that moment in time to walk around with a Maccabi Tel Aviv shirt on. You'd have to try to identify them based on who looks Jewish. That's just
I mean, I wouldn't want to be Jewish in Birmingham tonight.
And I just think all this begs the question is who is in control of our country? Who's in control of our police? Who's in control of our football now? It does seem the government, the authorities, the people who we all look up to, who should be controlling our country, are not in control. There are other groups, other individuals who can do what they like and run roughshod over to establish rules and practices. And I think it's a very, very sad indication of where the country's going.
No, I agree. Obviously I agree. It's ridiculous. It's just ludicrous. It's maddening. Anyway, we are just going to take you just before we move on to another very important story, actually. But Jack Carson is back at Villa Park for us. Jack, thank you very much. Sorry to come away from you earlier on. You've been doing such stellar work for us all evening under difficult circumstances. Could we just get a kind of wrap from you then, really? A quick summary of your day at the Villa.
Well, it's not been my usual football match, Patrick, but certainly the policing presence that we've seen is something really that I've never seen personally before, in the 3 years that I've been reporting in terms of football matches and the size of the police presence of football matches. We've got some of the police horses that have been deployed here this evening just coming our way as well. Essentially, before the end of the game, those police vans lining every inch of where those Palestine protesters were protesting to create not just a barrier of police between the protesters and the Villa fans, but a barrier of police fans. And essentially we saw at half-time, and when these Villa fans came into contact with these Palestine protesters, it's clear from the counter-protest that we went to with those people here supporting Maccabi Tel Aviv that wanted to show a voice of support, that they have felt intimidated by the protest here this evening. The protests themselves say that they were here to try and get this match cancelled, to try and get Israel to be boycotted from UEFA competitions. That is a very different stance to what initially this whole story was about, which was the issue and claims from their side that Maccabi Tel Aviv fans were hooligans and were dangerous after what happened in Amsterdam last year. Before you lost me last time, Patrick, I was saying that I put to Ahmed Yacoub about the situation that happened in Amsterdam with Galatasaray, and I said, would you support trying to get Galatasaray fans banned from coming to Manchester City in January? He said that was football hooliganism. What he said they saw from Maccabi Tel Aviv was racism. That is something which I'm not sure everyone here would agree with, but it's clear the police have had to be in huge presence tonight to keep everyone safe.
Jack, thank you very, very much. Really good stuff. Jack Carson there has been on the scene for us, and that is an absolutely cracking line, isn't it, when you think about it? So Ahmed Yacoub, that comedy lawyer who's also a baseball bat enthusiast by the looks of things, was saying that, so with Galatasaray, a Turkish football team, the fan base will predominantly be Muslim. He was asked about whether or not he thought they should be banned after kicking off in hours. Well, no, because that's football hooliganism, but what Maccabi were guilty of, that was racism. Oh, OK, there we go. Right, OK.